Stull Cemetery was featured in the CW hit Supernatural. Leave it to CW Supernatural to finally bring Stull Cemetery's storied history to the mainstream. The church and surrounding graveyard on Emmanuel Hill is in the Season 5 episode Swan Song as the site for Michael and Lucifer's final battle. It is featured again in the first episode of Season 6, when Sam Winchester is resurrected and wakes up in the infamous graveyard. The cemetery makes its final appearance in the Season 11 episode The Devil in the Details, where Lucifer takes Sam on a trip down memory lane. No one knows who finally destroyed the church. The church was rumored to be evil for myriad reasons, which is why people think it was destroyed. However, no one actually knows who bulldozed the building. The church was already falling down. It lost its roof and had been through fire. Lightning struck the abandoned building, which cracked the old stone wall. It was badly damaged by vandalism, and townspeople even removed a collapsed wall, fearing that falling debris would hurt visitors. It still wasn't torn down until 2002. According to an alleged Lawrence Journal World article, the old stone church was mysteriously torn down on Friday, March 29, 2002, but no one had ordered its removal. Property owner Major Weiss and members of Harvest Hills LLC were not aware of the demolition. Some suspect that angry townspeople finally had enough, whether it was truly evil or they couldn't tolerate the fuss the rumors caused. Some believe the legend was invented by kids at the University of Kansas. Stull's churchyard has long been thought to be a portal to hell, but a University of Kansas student newspaper article was one of the first times the rumors were actually committed to print. In November 1974, an article claimed that the church grounds saw a number of strange, paranormal happenings, and it was haunted by supernatural beings. The paper asserted that the devil appeared 2 times a year in Stull Cemetery. Apparently crawling out of the depths of hell is just too long of a trip to pop in more than a couple times a year. 4 years later, on March 20, 1978, over 150 people gathered at the cemetery waiting for the devil to show up. They believed that people who passed would rise from the grave. Of course, none of this happened, either because the devil was camera shy or the portal doesn't exist. In fact, most of the claims about Stull Cemetery haven't been investigated. There's a whole lack of proof, and according to a source, the pastor at the church across the street believes the entire legend was invented by students at the University of Kansas. Another source claims the legend was actually invented by a professor in the 1950s, which eventually led to the 1974 article. On Halloween 1999, reporters hoping to disprove the legend were mysteriously sent away just shy of midnight. Stull doesn't particularly enjoy being known for having a portal to hell, which is why a group of local reporters tried to put the rumors to rest once and for all. On Halloween in 1999, reporters from Lawrence Journal World and Sunflower Cable Station Channel 6 went to Stull Cemetery hoping to prove that Satan wasn't going to actually show up. Roughly 30 minutes before the clock struck midnight, property owners sent them away, even though the reporters had received permission from the police to be there. Since then, it's been almost impossible to get permission to investigate the grounds, which has led some paranormal believers to think something is being hidden. The Pope once rerouted a flight to avoid flying over the cemetery. It's hard to tell which legends are true and false. Reportedly, Pope John Paul Roman II declared Stull Cemetery evil in 1993 or 1995. Reports have conflicting information. Allegedly, the Pope was meant to make a public appearance in Colorado when he redirected his private flight to avoid the airspace above Stull because he refused to fly over unholy ground. Ariana Grande claims she was haunted after visiting Stull Cemetery. Not every ghost story about Stull Cemetery is from an unnamed source. In fact, one of the world's biggest pop stars has seen the region's demons firsthand. Ariana Grande wound up visiting Stull Cemetery during a scheduled performance in Kansas City and spoke to Complex about the bizarre things that happened. I felt this sick, overwhelming feeling of negativity over the whole car, and we smelled sulfur, which is the sign of a demon, and there was a fly in the car randomly, which is another sign of a demon. I was like, this is scary, let's leave. I rolled down the window before we left and said, we apologize. We didn't mean to disrupt your peace. Then I took a picture, and there are 3 super distinct faces. In the picture they are faces of textbook demons. Ariana didn't have the picture of proof because she deleted it after she tried to send it to her manager and got an error message saying this file can't be sent. It's 666 megabytes. She had kept the image in a folder, but claimed weird and terrifying things kept happening to her. The weird things she described are frankly pretty terrifying. I was going to sleep about 2 weeks ago. I had just gotten off the phone, and as soon as I closed my eyes, I heard this really loud rumble right by my head. When I opened my eyes, it stopped immediately, but when I closed my eyes, it started again with whispers. Every time I closed my eyes, I started seeing these really disturbing images with, like, red shapes. Then I opened my eyes and got back on the phone and was like, I'm really scared and I don't want to go to bed tonight. And then I scooched over to the left side of my bed, because that's where the best service is in my room, and there was this massive black matter. I don't know what it was. It was like a cloud of something black next to me. Grande says she cried and watched it move in front of her bed before falling asleep on the phone. The next night, her friend Tyler spent the night and witnessed the same thing. Rain won't fall inside the church, it is always bone dry. Before it was bulldozed, the church at Stull Cemetery had been missing its roof since the 1920s. Because it had no roof, the entire inside of the church was subject to flooding when it rained, except strangely enough, it actually never flooded at all. It wasn't even wet. According to urban legend, hundreds of witnesses said rain would not fall inside of the church. It would fall around the church and cemetery, but never inside. It was bone dry even if it poured. The church is in Topeka's 666 zip code. It could be that a number of coincidences made Stull Cemetery the perfect storm for dark and devilish rumors, or the coincidences aren't coincidences at all. Either way, the property has a number of highly suspicious features. The old, burned-down church is in Topeka's 666 zip code because, honestly, where else would Satan live? If we're to believe that Satan returns twice a year to visit his baby mama witch, then the nearby gravestone that reads Witch almost, which is a huge alarm. Allegedly, the devil appears twice a year to visit his witch lover and their child. Before it was banned in 1988, hundreds of people would gather at Stull Cemetery to see the devil rise from the depths of hell. According to the legend, Satan returns to the cemetery twice a year on Halloween, and the spring equinox to visit the witch who mothered his child. Unfortunately, Satan's kid only lived for a couple of days. He reportedly has a final resting place near his mama, and there have been reports of his werewolf-looking ghost walking around. All of this is a major headache to police, Satan, the ghost boy, and mostly the people who show up and trash the place. In 1988, almost 500 people gathered at the cemetery waiting for a no-show devil. They caused so much damage to the property that officers have patrolled the grounds on Halloween ever since. If you're hoping to catch a glimpse on All Hallows Eve, the church is rumored to be one of the world's 7 gateways to hell. Not only is Stull Cemetery America's most evil graveyard, but it's also Satan's front door. The church that lies on the property is thought to have become an actual portal to hell, but it wasn't always evil. The church was built in 1867 and used for religious services, just like you'd expect. Unfortunately, attendance dwindled, and it was abandoned in 1922. According to an anonymous letter written to try to scare me, the gateway to hell was created by local Satanists after it was abandoned. The church wasn't always evil, but was overtaken by the Satanists who lived in nearby towns. They conjured up so much evil that they opened a portal to hell. When the church still stood, there were stairs located on the back wall near the right side. Most of the time, they were overgrown and hidden with thick grass. It took a bit of searching unless you knew where they were. These stairs were a direct gateway to hell and used by Lucifer to appear on Halloween night at midnight. If a person was to travel down these steps, even just a few, they would be trapped and forced to walk hours back up. Stull Cemetery is thought to be America's most evil graveyard. Stull Cemetery was created in the 1850s by German settlers and has been a hotbed for paranormal activity since. The property's over-the-top reputation includes everything from ghost and demon sightings to sacrificial ceremonies and occult rituals. The devil himself even pencils in biannual visits. Apparently, paranormal occurrences date back to a mid-1800s slaying. A Kansas City Times article claims that a stable hand took out the mayor to death in the cemetery's old stone barn. Years later, the barn was converted into a church, which in turn was gutted by fire. A decaying wooden cross that still hangs from one wall is thought to sometimes turn upside down when passers-by step into the building at midnight. That's apparently what happens when you build a church on top of Satan's front door, though it should be noted that Stull never had an official mayor. Still, these rumors don't come out of thin air. They are mostly tied to a large tree and the property's mysterious church, which some people say they've seen smoldering. Hell certainly isn't short on fire. According to the legend, massive pine tree was used to exterminate condemned witches, including Satan's lover. This happened on the spring equinox, a culling of sorts. The tree remained a special spot for modern covens, which would visit the cemetery to pay respects to their fallen until the tree was torn out by caretakers in 1998.
Hey guys, thank you so much for the support and likes and comments down below, and also thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next video. Then take care, bye.